simplest definition of a selection, a name and a type, in this case point. Selections expose predicate functions that allow us to operate on points in the selection. For example, we use a selection's predicate to color selected points based on their origin and keep unselected points gray. While the point selection allows us to select at most one point of interest at a time, changing the type to list allows us to select multiple points. Selection definitions are concise because Vega-lite fills in appropriate defaults, such as which events trigger the selection and what the predicate function tests for. In the case of list selections, by default, points are selected on click and additional points on shift-click. We can override this to instead select points on mouse over, or we can select the point nearest to our mouse rather than the one directly underneath it. Similarly, the default predicate function for point and list selections looks for an exact match. We can instead use the project transform to alter the predicate to determine inclusion when items match the given fields. Besides discrete point selections, we can also select points that fall within a continuous interval with a corresponding selection type. By default, Vega-lite adds a mark to represent the brush region and also instantiates a translate transform that offsets the selection's backing points, allowing us to move the brush. We can reuse the project transform here to restrict the brush to a single dimension. Selections are also datasets, and we can initialize them with specific backing points. Here, for example, we initialize an interval selection with the visualization scales. Doing so populates the selection with the given scales domains and parametrizes the scales to use the selection instead. As the translate transform is automatically instantiated for interval selections, we can start to pan the plot. By adding the zoom transform, we can zoom it in as well. We can see a more explicit version of this parametrization with an overview plus detail interaction. An interval selection in the top unit specification is used to drive the scale domains in the bottom one. Vega-lite selections can also enable custom interaction methods, such as this interactive index chart. A point selection is used to interactively renormalize stock price time series data. Finally, Vega-lite selections decompose interaction design into concise, enumerable semantic units. As a result, selection parameters can be systematically varied to generate alternate interaction techniques for a given set of visual encodings. For example, this example demonstrates a layered cross-filtering interaction. Hovering over a bar in one histogram highlights bars in the other, and by varying the selection type, we can select multiple bins on shift-click or brush a continuous interval. Vega-lite is an open-source system, and we hope that it enables